little bit, we gotta like make sure, whew, they're getting a little bit ahead of me, I gotta reel them back in. You know, they seem like they're really doing well. I don't want like people to think that they're a better Christian than me. So I gotta like make sure to kind of like put in a little diss there, or you know, make sure not to encourage them, because that would, you know, build them up even more. And so we kind of try to like keep the playing field level. But then the opposite is even more scary and a little more difficult when someone falls behind us a little bit. We know these people, you know, you may hear like a rumor about them, or you hear of some sort of thing they're going through, and be like, man, you know, Parker, he went to that party the other day, and I cannot believe that he was there, you know, like, he is just such a horrible Christian, you know? And so we think about that, and we're like, man, you know, what a bad Christian, I would never do that. And so then we kind of like talk to our friends about it, you know, our Christian friends, and we're like, man, dude, Parker was at that party the other day. And so, instead of coming alongside and being like, man, dude, Parker, what is up, man? Why are you like, you know, going out and, you know, doing whatever, getting drunk or whatever? Instead of coming alongside him and be like, man, Parker, I realize that your knees are weak right now, and your arms, they're like kind of flailing around a little bit. You're looking kind of weird when you're running. Instead of coming up beside him and like helping him out, because what do? We push him back. We're like, man, you know what? Hey, I'm no good. And so instead of coming alongside, we do that because we want to make ourselves look good. And we have this very like selfish, very closed-minded view of like, you know what? If it's not me, I don't really care. And so we kind of get focused off the goal. The goal is for the body to thrive, and for the body to be following after Christ with everything. It's not just about ourselves. And so we push on together, and we endure together, and we come alongside, and we help each other. I haven't done a very good job of this sometimes. Man, it's just so like, it's so easy to fall into this temptation of like, you know, when someone kind of struggles a little bit, of just pushing them down instead of helping them up. As you guys know, I go to Moody, and I had this roommate. I've been there for 2 years now. I came in my sophomore year. My sophomore year, I came in, and I met this friend, let's call his name Tim. And so I met Tim and like hit it off real good. He was on my floor, and so me and him got to be real good friends. We kind of built up this group of friends, and you know, we did everything together. We, you know, hung out together. We even had like Bible studies together, accountability group together. You know, we were all pursuing after God as a unit. I think we really had a pretty good thing going. That we were really living pretty biblically in that way, and just keeping each other accountable, iron sharpening iron. This last year, or last summer, Tim, he went to the summer camp, and he was a counselor there. He met this girl, and you know, they started talking, and he comes back to school. They started dating over Skype. And so for like the next months, he started talking to this girl on Skype for like crazy hours of the day, like 6 hours on Skype, 8 hours on Skype. His roommate is my cousin, and my cousin would be like, man, dude, I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning, and Tim was still on Skype with his girlfriend. And so, man, this brother is just like struggling. He stopped going to church. He stopped all this stuff, just like getting depressed and just going into the state where he was only in his room, only maybe talking on Skype, sleeping. That was kind of it. And so, you know, at first when this happened, we're like, man, Tim, he's in our group, and, you know, we've had a whole year where we've just been bonding and all this stuff. And so like, we talked to him about it a couple times, but then it slipped, and we were like, man, you know what? Did you hear about Tim? I mean, my cousin, you know, he heard at 6 o'clock in the morning. Can you believe that, 6 o'clock in the morning? And like, it became a joke, and it started to perpetuate, and every day it was kind of more like, oh man, he's still doing that. And we kind of thought it would maybe die off, but instead it got worse and worse. And instead of coming alongside of him and being like, hey man, Tim, like, again, man, what's going on? Like, can we help you in any way? Can we take you to church? Can we, you know, is there anything we can do for you? We know that you're not acting yourself. But instead of that, man, we just fell into this, man, well, at least I'm not as bad as Tim. You know, I'm going to church every week. I mean, you know, I may not be listening that well or something, but at least I'm not as bad as Tim. And so we kind of fell into that groove. And so man, it happens. It can happen so quick, where it can kind of shift from concern to kind of like making fun of it, making light of it. You guys know those people that like share those prayer requests where they like think they're actually sharing a prayer request, but they're actually just gossiping about that person. They're like, hey, listen, we just need to pray for Sam. He's just really, his girlfriend broke up with him yesterday, and we just really need to pray for him because he's probably feeling really down. And so, like, we make it seem like we're actually trying to do something good, because what we're doing, we're just perpetuating it, we're just like spreading rumors, and we're really just, man, look at him, he's falling behind, he's really struggling. And so, yeah, all I have to say is just, man, make sure you're looking out for each other and helping each other when you are stumbling. So therefore, strengthen the hands that are weak and the knees that are feeble, and make straight paths for your feet, so that the limb which is lame may not be put out of joint, but rather be healed. Straighten your path. Have you ever been on a hike or something and there's no path? You're kind of just like walking aimlessly. Last year I was at an internship in Texas, and we went to Estes Park, Colorado for camp. And so, man, one day we had some free time, and we're like, man, group and I, we're going to go and we're going to climb this mountain. So we just like see the mountain from a distance, and there's no path or anything. We were just like, we're going to climb that. And so we go, and we're going through all these different places, and it was actually probably a pretty bad idea, because we ended up in like people's backyards and stuff, and it was crazy. And like, eventually we got to like places where we couldn't even go through. There's no path at all, and like there's water this deep, so we're like wading through stuff. And sometimes we'd like see maybe like a little bit of a path kind of winding, but we'd lose it. We were just going straight to the top, and it was really difficult. Like, it would have been so much easier if it had just been like paved path that's going up there, or at least like some sort of worn path that we could follow, so that we're not walking in people's backyards and getting yelled at, and we're not, you know, having to trench through a foot of water and things like that. And so it is so much easier to go somewhere when you've got a path. And so we're making paths every day with the way that we live. We are forging a new path. And so God has called us to walk the path of the straight and narrow. He's called us to live a life of holiness, throwing aside all our weights and sins, pursuing after Him in a straight, clear path. But we don't always follow that path exactly, right? We kind of like to wander around a little bit. We kind of start to swerve off sometimes. And we always kind of try to keep an eye on the path. Like, we know what we're supposed to do, and we kind of have that in the back of our mind, but we kind of swerve off a little bit because we think, you know, as long as I have like the path kind of in sight, it's all right if I'm swerving off here on the outstretches a little bit. And so we kind of think that, you know, it's not going to hurt anything. We're, you know, as long as we know how to follow after Christ, and we kind of have that in our view, we're fine. It tells us to make straight paths because you're always forging a trail, and someone else is always watching. There's always another person who's kind of like, man, looking on the outside and being like, wow, look at them. They say they're a Christian, they're doing all these things, but man, they look like they're on the straight and narrow path at church, but man, I see them on the rest of the week, and they're kind of swerving all around. And so we kind of like make this path, and other people are following behind us. And so our sin does not only affect us, it affects other people that are kind of following behind us. Maybe it's a less mature believer, or like a little brother, or someone in the youth group that maybe just like came for the first time, or they're not totally committed yet, and they see you and they're like, wow, this is the example, this is what it's like to be a Christian. And then they see the swerving, and they follow after that path. And it hurts them. They can get really messed up. Like, you may think that, you know what, I can go to church on Sundays and live totally different the rest of the week, and I'm fine. You know, I can make it through. It's all right. But the thing is that you are not only hurting yourself in that. You are hurting someone else who is coming behind and following that